Good evening. Shall I start the class? Hello? Hello? I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can I start the class or I want to wait some time? Some more time.
Sir, they are joining. We can start after 2 minutes.
Okay. Okay. So, we are talking about the financial system in the country. So, as I said yesterday, this is the structure of the financial market in the country. Okay, this is known as the Indian financial market. Okay, what is known as the Indian financial market? Okay, this one. So here we can see this is the money market. Okay, here in this money market, okay, we can see what is known as the short-term and medium-term market. This is called capital market. Okay, where the investment resources will be mobilized. This is the financial market what we have, as already we discussed. And in the financial market, this money market is one of the most important. Okay, this money market is the most important point here. Okay, in this money market, is completely under the control of the Reserve Bank of India. The total money market is under the control of the Reserve Bank of India country. So whatever the money market we have in the under control of the Reserve Bank of India, that will be divided into scheduled banks and what is known as the non-scheduled banks. As I said already, these scheduled banks were divided into commercial banks and non-commercial banks. These non-commercial banks are known as the what is called cooperative banks. Okay, these commercial banks divided different like public sector banks, private sector banks, foreign banks, and regional rural banks. Okay, all we will decide like that. So yeah, these cooperative banks are these non-commercial banks, maybe state cooperative banks and district cooperative banks and other cooperative banks, maybe like primary agriculture cooperative societies which are there in the rural areas and other societies which may be established by some other people, cooperative societies in the name of the cooperative societies like employees and the many people. So they can start this cooperative society. Okay, all this will come under the control of the Reserve Bank of India. Okay, see, as I said already to you, the total money market, that is short-term market and medium-term market. Okay, this market is completely controlled by this Reserve Bank of India. Okay, the Reserve Bank of India is controlling completely this system. Okay, here whatever this Reserve Bank, if you see the historical background here about the Reserve Bank, we have to understand when it was started, why they were started. So when if you know the why it was started, the one of the main functions of the RBI is the currency issuing, how it is issued, and monetary policy. So that things we have to we can discuss here. Okay, this Reserve Bank of India, if you see the historical background for this one, in 1806, there was one bank was established at Calcutta. Okay, that bank is known as the, so what is called Bank of Bengal. Okay, this Bank of Bengal was established in 1806. 1806 it was established in the Calcutta for the Bengal state. In 1840, the Bank of Bombay was established for the Bombay state. Okay, in 1843, okay, this is 1843. So 1843, Bank of Madras was started for the Madras state. These are the main important banks were started during the British period. 1806, 1840 and 1843. These banks were worked as a central bank for the respective states. Their respective states. For example, Bank of Bengal was worked for the Bengal state as a central bank. Bank of Bombay worked as a central bank for the Madras state, Bombay state, and Bank of Madras was worked as a central bank to the what is called this is called Madras state. Okay, like these three banks were worked as a central bank for that our respective institutions, respective areas. Okay, but here these three banks, okay, whatever we have, these three banks, Okay, sorry, it is 1843 Bank of Madras. Okay, these three banks, whatever you are saying, these three banks, they were merged. Okay, they were merged in 1921. Okay, all these banks were merged in 1921 and established as a Imperial Bank of India. Okay, it was established as a Imperial Bank of India. So this Imperial Bank of India was started as a worked as a central bank for the whole nation, that is whole country, whole India. Okay, these three banks were merged and established as the Imperial Bank of India in 1921. So this was worked as a central bank for our country. Okay, yeah. In 1929, okay, in 1929-30, there was a great economic crisis in the world. Like that, there was a crisis also was there in our country also. Okay, that crisis was there in our country also. When that crisis was there in our country, that is economic crisis. To come out of that economic crisis, the many countries were started some plannings for the development of the countries to come out from the economic crisis. So in this particular way, okay, during that time India was ruling by the British. So the Britishers also taken some important measures to come out the economic crisis, to come out from the economic crisis of our country. Okay, in this particular cases, so the Britishers thought to establish one central institution, okay, one central bank to control the whole financial institutions in the country. Okay, to control the whole financial institutions in the country. So it was British was started. They want to establish one institution. Okay, to establish that institution, to take the suggestion, to give the advices to the government. So in 1931, the British government established, appointed one committee. That committee known as actually Royal Committee. Okay, Royal Committee. For this Royal Committee, the chairman was Hilton Young. That's why this was also known as the Hilton Young Committee. Okay, that was also known as the Hilton Young Committee. Okay, this Hilton Young Committee. Okay, this Hilton Young Committee was established to inquire, to establish central bank in our country. That's why it was known as a Central Banking Inquiry Committee. So this Central Bank Inquiry Committee established under the chairmanship of the Hilton Young Committee. Hilton Young. That's why it became a Hilton Young Committee. So this, based on the recommendation of this Hilton Young Committee, in 1933, British government prepared one bill to establish central bank in our country. That bill name was known as the Central Bank Establishment Bill, or we can say RBI Establishment Bill. That is was established by the government. One bill was prepared. So when the Hilton Young Committee visited in India, before this Hilton Young Committee, okay, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, okay, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar given the presentation about the central bank. Actually, his PhD was related to currency, monetary system, okay, the rupee system, rupee devaluation. So on this particular aspect, he did the PhD. Okay, today, actually, when the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar given this presentation, before that Hilton Young Committee, whatever the presentation given by the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, so that aspects were taken by this Hilton Young Committee. Okay, Hilton Young Committee was taken account that particular aspect. Okay, based on the today, we know RBI is functioning in our country even today, 2021. So whatever the RBI is functioning today, that is purely the PhD thesis of the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Okay, this based on the presentation given by the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the Hilton Young Committee prepared one bill. That bill was known as popularly the Central Bank Establishment Act, Central Bank Establishment Bill. So popularly known as RBI Establishment Bill. Okay, RBI, what is known as the Establishment Bill, which one we can show. Okay, that is this bill was established in 1933 bill. So based on that bill was passed in the parliament, and bill sent to the Governor General. In those days, you are called Viceroy or Governor General. So the Viceroy was signed on that bill in 1934. Please remember, it is not 1933. So in 1934, when the Governor General assent signed on that bill, so the bill automatically became an act. Okay, bill became an act. So this act is known as the Central Bank Establishment Act. Otherwise, we can say Central Bank Act, or we can say RBI Act, RBI Establishment Act 1934. So based on the 1934 RBI Establishment Act or Central Bank Establishment Act, finally, so April 1st, 1935, the RBI was established in the country. Okay, RBI was finally, that is Central Bank for our country, established in 1935, April 1st. When it was established in 1935, that headquarters was established in Calcutta. From 1935 to 1937, the headquarters of the RBI was there at Calcutta. It was there at Calcutta. And later, in 1937, the headquarters was shifted from the Calcutta to Mumbai. So from then onwards, 1937 onwards, the RBI headquarters is there in where? Bombay. So it was there in the Bombay. At present, the RBI headquarters is there in the Bombay. Okay, yeah, when it was established in 1935, this was established with 5 crores capital. In those days, the RBI was established with 5 crores capital in the private sector. It is a limited company with private shareholders. It was established in 1935 with 5 crores capital in the private sector. But after getting the independence in 1947, so finally we got the independence in 1947. After the independence, in January 1st, 1949, the RBI was nationalized. Now it was nationalized after 1949. So from 1949 onwards, RBI is completely owned by the government. No private share was there in the private sector. The completely it was owned by the government only. Okay, it is autonomous body. It is a statutory body. It was established with the Government Act. That's why. So this we can say, we can call, it is called autonomous body. Okay, this RBI, if you see the structure of the RBI, okay, here in the RBI, we can see the RBI administered with the board of directors. Okay, administered with the board of directors. Board of the directors is the highest decision making body of the RBI. RBI. Okay, in this board of directors, okay, whatever we are saying that the board of directors, okay, in this board of directors, we can see two type of the directors. Okay, two type of the directors we can see in this board of directors. So one is official directors. The second one is non-official directors. Okay, official directors and what is called non-official directors. The both will be there here. Okay, official and non-official directors we can see. That is okay. Here, whenever we are talking this official directors are also known as the permanent directors. Okay, permanent directors. These non-official directors are known as the what is called temporary directors. Okay, temporary directors. So this official directors will be there up to 5 members. Okay, the official directors may be up to 5 members. Out of that, there will be one governor. Okay, there will be one governor. See, as I said already, official directors. Okay, official directors are up to 5. That is 1 plus up to 4. Okay, up to 4. That is one governor, up to 4 deputy governors. So up to 5 members were known as the official directors or permanent directors. Okay, then in case of the non-official directors, okay, in case of the non-official directors, we can say that up to 10 members, okay, up to 10 members, they will be appointed by the government. They will be appointed by the government who are the experts on the various fields. Okay, the experts on the various subjects, maybe administration, maybe polity, maybe economics, science and technology, some other subjects. So up to 10 members they will be appointed. And 2 may be appointed by the government nominee. Okay, government nominee, 2 members will be there. And the 4 members appointed from the local bodies. Okay, from the local bodies. So because here, whenever we are talking about this RBI, okay, this headquarters, you know, it is there in the Mumbai, but this RBI is having the 4 regional head offices. Okay, 4 regional head offices. Okay, regional head offices, 4 regional head offices will be there. So one is there at Chennai. It is for the south area, southern states, and one is there at New Delhi. Okay, New Delhi for the northern states. One is there at Kolkata for the eastern states, and one more is there at Mumbai itself. Okay, in Mumbai we have head office and also we have the regional office for the western states. Like that, we have four regional head offices, four local bodies. These four are called local bodies. Okay, from each and every local body, there one person will be what is called appointed. One person will be appointed from each and every local body. So, like that, from southern part one, from New Delhi, that is northern part one, from eastern part one, western part one, four. There will be four members will be appointed in the from the local body. So, like that. Okay, like that. So, total how many people we can say? So, official directors 5. Okay, in case of the non-official, up to 10 members from the subject experts from the various fields, and 2 government nominees, and like 4 representative from the local bodies, 1 each from one. So like that, this number may be 21. So 21, but generally always all the people may not be appointed. So the one person may not be. So anyway, this board of directors will be there in all areas with 20 members. Okay, this board of directors, whatever the decision taking by this board of directors, which is the highest decision making body in the RBI. So all these people, official and non-official, will discuss about the particular policies and they will take the decision. After that taking the decision, these non-official members who are there, they will go their respective places, their respective offices, and whatever we have these official 5 members, official directors, so they will take care of that decision. Okay, that decision which was taken by this board of directors, so it will be executed by this directors. So at present, we have 1 governor and 4 deputy governors. So Sri Shaktikant Das, he was the present RBI governor at present. Shaktikant Das, okay, RBI governor, and Mahesh Kumar Jain is the one of the deputy governor in RBI, and Dr. M.D. Patra is one of the deputy governor in the RBI, and Sri M. Rajeshwar Rao is one of the deputy governor in the RBI, and Sri T. Ravi Shankar is also one of the deputy governor in the RBI. So these 5 members, that is 1 plus 4. So these 5 members are at present, okay, we can say at present, they were known as the official directors. Okay, official directors at present. So this is that one. Okay, anyway, why RBI was established? Please listen, this way may be important. RBI was established in 1935. It was nationalized in 1949. Okay, it will administered with board of directors. Okay, board of directors chairman is again RBI governor. See, the board of directors is the highest decision making body in the RBI. For that board of directors, who is the chairman? Governor is the chairman. That's why governor is the highest officer in the RBI. Is the topmost officer in the RBI. That is RBI governor. So is the topmost officer in the RBI. So this RBI was established. Why? Why they were established in the country? Okay, what was the reason? Which purpose they were established? So here, RBI was established. One of the main reason is issue of the currency. Okay, issue of the currency. This is the most important function of the RBI. In our country, RBI is having the monopoly power. Okay, monopoly power to issue the currency. Okay, to issue the currency. RBI is having the.
Sir, RBI is there in Hyderabad also, no, sir?
RBI
Is there in Hyderabad also, no, sir?
Okay, actually, whatever you have office in the RBI, that is not a head office. Okay, here see once again, RBI head office, we know Mumbai. Okay, we know Mumbai. Under this head office, we have 4 regional head office. Already I told you. Okay, that is Chennai, maybe Mumbai, New Delhi, and Kolkata. These 4 regional head offices. Okay, Chennai we have the for southern states. Under this southern regional head office, we have some regional offices. Regional offices. Okay, we have regional offices for Andhra Pradesh and Telangana in Hyderabad, and there is a one regional office at Bangalore for the Karnataka, and there is a one regional office in Kerala also. Like in Chennai, we have one more regional office. So like that, we have regional offices. Like under the Mumbai also for the southern states, we have some regional offices. Like this, these regional offices, we have 19 offices in the country. Out of this 19, one of the regional offices is Hyderabad. Okay, whatever the RBI office you can see in Hyderabad, that is a regional office, not a regional head office. Okay, are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, this is the thing we can say. Okay, see, as we discussed already, RBI is having the monopoly power to issue the currency. What is the meaning of the monopoly power? Monopoly power, nothing but it is the only organization which is having the power to issue the currency. There is no competition. So that is the point. Based on the 1934 RBI Act. Okay, based on the 1934 RBI Act, the government was given the power to the RBI to issue the currency. Was given the power, government was given the power based on the Act. Okay, based on the 1934, if we say 1934, exactly, so we have one section called section 22 in the RBI. Okay, section 22 in the RBI. So according to the 1934 RBI Act section 23, the government was given the power to RBI to issue the currency. Based on that act, our RBI is issuing the currency, okay, in our country. Okay, here, whenever we are talking about this currency, okay, that is called issue of currency. So when we are talking about this issue of the currency, actually, before 1957, okay, otherwise we can say up to 1957, based on the minimum reserve system, there was one formula called minimum reserve system. Based on that minimum reserve system, RBI was issued the currency before 1957. I'm very sorry, very sorry. Not the minimum reserve system. Okay, before 1957, there was called proportional system. Okay, proportional system was followed RBI to issue the currency. proportional system, nothing but here how much RBI want to issue the currency, that equal ratio of the current gold reserves should be kept with RBI. By keeping the gold reserves with RBI, the RBI can issue the currency how much it is required. How much it is required. So how much it want to, they can issue. But I'm not saying that that statement. I am giving clear statement that according to the requirement, RBI can issue the currency. So the requirement. What is the requirement? Production. Based on the production. So how much production was there in the country? Based on the production, RBI can issue the currency. That is. So that is called based on the requirement. But if RBI want to issue 100 crores new currency, it can issue by reserving the 100 crores worth of the gold reserves with RBI. That was known as the proportional system, which was followed before 1957. But from 1957, okay, from the 1957 onwards, we are following the minimum reserve system. We are following the minimum reserve system to issue the currency in our country. So according to this minimum reserve system, what is the minimum reserve system? According to this minimum reserve system, by reserving the 200 crores worth of gold and foreign currency. See, both were there here. 200 crores worth of gold and foreign currency. By reserving the 200 crores worth of the gold and foreign currency with RBI, RBI can issue the currency how much it is required. Okay, based on the requirement of RBI can issue the currency. RBI can issue the currency. That is what we can see when we are talking about this currency system. Here, out of this 200 crores, minimum 115 crores worth should be in the form of the gold. The remaining may be, okay, the remaining may be in the form of the foreign reserves, foreign currency. But that both combining this, both it should be at least 200 crores of the 200 crores worth of the gold and foreign reserves. Okay, by reserving this 200 crores worth of gold and foreign reserves, RBI can issue the currency how much it is required today. By keeping the minimum reserves, it can. That is the present system we are following this one. Okay, when we are issuing the currency, all type of denominations. It may be 2 rupee, 5 rupee, 10 rupee denomination, 20, 50, 100, 500, even 2000. All these denominations we have under circulation today. So all these denominations issued by RBI, Reserve Bank of India. Here, one denomination was missed, that is 1 rupee. Today we have 1 rupee coin also. 1 rupee currency also we have under the circulation. Okay, this 1 rupee issued by directly finance department. Okay, finance department. Except 1 rupee denomination, the remaining all denominations, including 2000 note, will be issued by the RBI only. Why only 1 rupee denomination is under control of the government? Finance department, nothing but government. So here, this is the 1 rupee, nothing but it is a constitutional matter. Okay, it is a constitutional matter. How it is a constitutional matter? in our constitution clearly mentioned that, okay, clearly it was mentioned that our currency name explained as a rupaya. The word rupaya always equal to 1 rupee. That's why, since the 1 rupee is a constitutional matter, so in the constitutional issue, who will have the power to change it? Parliament. Okay, in the part of the parliament, we can say the majority people, they were known as the government. Okay, since it is a financial matter in the government, it is there under the finance department. So that's why, okay, except that 1 rupee denomination, remaining all are the what is called under the control of the RBI itself. So that is the one of the most important function performing by this RBI. Okay, RBI is performing one of the major important duty. And the next one is RBI is working as a bank to the bank. What is the bank? What is the function of any bank? Bank nothing but they have to accept deposits and they have to lend money. They have to lend the money. That is the function of the any bank. See, RBI is not accepting deposit from the public, and RBI is also not lending money to the public directly. That's why it is not a bank to the public. Please remember, RBI is not a bank to the public. It is a bank to the banks. It is a bank to the government. Because RBI will accept deposits from the banks and the government, and if it is required, RBI is lending money to the banks and the government. Since RBI is accepting and lending money to the both banks and the governments, so this RBI may be bank to the banks and the government, but not to the public. Please remember. That is one thing we have to understand about the RBI. RBI is a bank to the banks and the government, not to the public. It is not bank for us. It is not accepting deposit from the people. It is also not lending money to the people directly. It is coming through banking system only. Okay, and this RBI is also acting as a custodian to the foreign reserves. Always it will try to reserve with some foreign currency with our country to protect our currency value. Okay, why RBI is trying to protect the foreign currency? This is so RBI will try to reserve the foreign currency with RBI means to protect it. Okay, our currency value. Okay, our currency value. How RBI is going to protect our currency value? By reserving the foreign currency. Okay, just so you remember this point here. When we are discussing about the balance of payment, there I will explain clearly how RBI is protecting our currency value by reserving the foreign currency with RBI. Okay, just here, remember for the examination point of view that it is acting as a custodian. It is a protector, protection, custodian to the foreign reserves. Just to remember that point. Why? To protect our currency value. Just to remember this point, we will discuss in the balance of payment clear-cutly about that one. And this RBI is also establishing the clearing houses throughout the country. Okay, clearing houses throughout the country to promote the online system, to develop the link among the banks, to develop the link among the banks. It was establishing clearing houses in the different places. Okay, so here today we have online system. If Canara Bank will issue check, we are depositing in the SBI. We are withdrawing money from the SBI immediately or within 1 or 2 days. But the money there in the Canara Bank, the money has to transfer from the Canara Bank to the SBI. Okay, this functioning doing by the RBI in the name of the clearing. That is clearing checks, clearing transaction. So to clear all this transaction, RBI establishing these houses, these offices in the different places for the smooth function of the clearing, and to speed up these clearings, and to promote the online system and all. Okay, that is also one function is doing by the RBI, and the RBI is one of the most important function after the currency issue of the currency. The next more important function is controlling the credit, controlling the money supply in the name of the monetary policy to control the inflation. So in this part of this monetary policy, credit policy, bank rate, repo rate, cash reserve ratio, statutory liquidity ratio, open market operations, reverse repo rate, all these things will be there. Okay, we will discuss after the RBI. We will come the monetary policy. We have separately. We have one session separately on this monetary policy. Okay, RBI, one of the function is controlling the credit through monetary policy or credit policy. So all these are called monetary policy instruments. How they will function? How RBI will control the inflation through these instruments? So we will discuss in a separate session about that one. And the RBI is also established financial institutions in the country. RBI is establishing many financial institutions in the country. Many, like it was established by the RBI, NABARD, we can say IFCI, Industrial Financial Corporation of India, IDBI, Industrial Development Bank of India, okay, like SIDBI, Small Industrial Development Bank of India, latest bank we can say Mudra Bank, like National Housing Board. There are many institutions who are started by this RBI itself to provide the financial assistance for that particular sector. For example, RBI was promoted in the country to provide financial assistance for agriculture and rural development in our country. IDBI and IFCI was established in our country to promote the industry sector in our country. SIDBI was established in our country to promote the small scale industries in the country. Okay, like one more institution we can say Exim Bank to promote the export and import. Like that, by establishing the many financial institutions, it will RBI is trying to develop, trying to promote our economy, and establishing the banks. Who are giving the permission to establish the banks? RBI. Who are giving the license to open the branches? RBI. Okay, RBI is establishing the branches of the banks, establishing even in the rural areas also nowadays. By expanding these branches in the rural areas, RBI is trying to mobilize the saving among the people. After the mobilizing the saving is converting into investment. Like that, investment resources are mobilizing this RBI. Okay, like by establishing the many financial institutions, RBI is trying to promote our economy. Okay, developing our economy and allocating resources for the many sectors. Allocating. Suppose, here in 1990, RBI was taken one policy that any bank, it may be SBI, it may be Canara Bank, whatever it may be, how much they are lending money to others, out of their total loans, 40% of the loans should be lent to the priority sector. Okay, priority sectors. The 40% out of this 40, 18% for the agriculture sector. Today, RBI given the direction that each and every bank should provide 18% of the loan to the agriculture sector. That's why even though private or public sector banks, they are providing loans to the even agriculture sector. Otherwise, the banks may not come forward to provide the loans for the agriculture sector, weaker sections with lower interest rate. If the banks will not coming forward to provide the financial assistance for agriculture sector, the investment resources may not be available to the agriculture sector farmers. If no financial resources, that sector may not be developed. That's why to promote this agriculture sector, RBI given the direction to each and every bank to provide at least minimum 18% of the loans to the agriculture sector. Because of this RBI direction, today all the private including the private banks, they are lending money to the agriculture sector. Okay, so it is a trying to allocating the resources for the weaker section, for the backward regions development and backward sectors development like agriculture, small scale industries, women's in the name of Dwakra, in the name of self-help group, RBI directing to the banks to provide loan with lower interest, with less interest, okay, which is called dual interest rate. And RBI is giving sanction to the government to take the policies. Okay, it is also taking the part of the giving the sanction to the RBI, to the government. So like this, RBI is what is called working with many objectives. With many objectives, RBI is working in our country.